What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are your hosts, the Distorted Theorists, and we have just come out of Sonic 3 at Cineplex Theater here in St. John's. And I'm not going to get into it first.
Because
we got to do one thing.
Because if you are watching this review, which we're going to keep as spoiler-free as possible, we need you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoy our reviews and you want to support our channel. This is the third act in a trilogy, which might be more, in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. And Peter,
we can say it is going to be more because they've already confirmed that Sonic 4 is going to happen.
Yeah, I guess they announced it just as the movie came out. But Peter, you're a little new to it because you had to catch up right quick.
I know, Dragon Ball Z is something I am not used to in any way, shape, or form.
It's pretty much what it was.
Oh
but before
God.
we even get to the third act at all, Peter, take us away. What do we think of how the movie opened? How were we introduced to? Obviously, shadows in the trailer, so it's the big bad. Your boy, Keanu.
The way that I'm looking at this really and truly doesn't, it's not that it doesn't involve Sonic 3, it encompasses the entire trilogy so far.
Couldn't agree more.
Because Sonic has come a long way from that horrific teeth and weird eye thing that came out with the first trailer.
Service. This movie's
and
for
fans
the fans.
put up such an uproar about that they changed the design. The first movie was definitely a Sonic movie. They could have left it at that. They said, you know what, we're going to make a second movie, which I watched today. Wasn't great, but wasn't bad. So I came into this being like, you know what, I don't really know how this is going to go because there's a third one. Usually they try and wrap up stuff because a lot of ends to the trilogies lately have not been good.
Here's the thing. So when they revamped that design, this is just my opinion, our opinion. When they revamped that design, I think the first one didn't get the push it deserved at the time because I think they were still like, we're going to be rebuked.
Yeah, we're going
to be rebuked for what we did. But little did they know is that the fans like us would be like, no, you did well. You corrected what we said,
going.
right? So once that first one caught that spark that, you know, made a little bit of money at the box office, they brought in, of course, in the end credit scene, the titular character of Tails, who everyone would then at that point be waiting for if you ever played Sonic 2. But what we didn't know until the trailers is they were bringing in Knuckles. So that was a really cool addition to the second one. And Peter, for the third one, they brought in the big boy.
We got John Wick coming through. But
pretty much was too. That's the way.
Well, that was because when he showed up with the
like,
how
did you think he portrayed him? Like, were you happy with?
Well, I don't know because again, like I've never played the games. I played the old like 2D sprites and everything like that, but I've never played any of the open world, not open world, but like the 3D ones that Shadow and a lot of the others Team Sonic were part of.
I think so. I don't know. Right in that middle ground.
It was Sega. I don't know. But something else, just before we get into this, that I thought was actually really cool was beyond Deadpool and Wolverine, this was probably a theater that I saw filled with the most fans of the brand. And
that was even more true at the end.
Everyone in that theater were Sonic fans. And I'm just there like, I'm along for the ride. So thanks for welcoming me.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the first two, as I said to you, and I kind of said to Peter, we had a choice between Mufasa or Sonic 3, realistically, right? And so, what are we calling this? The Lion Ring when they drop two movies? I don't know, because they got rings and Sonic. I'll shut up now.
So, but Sonic 3, so the Distorted Theorist is good.
No, but I said to Peter, I said, check out this movie. The first two hit me good. I loved it.
I didn't hate him.
No, exactly. And then he caught up just today so that we could be fully prepared to deliver our review. But I think Shadow was the perfect, like, you get some movies, the sequel was like, I don't know, but Sonic did something kind of like Terminator 2. The sequel, in my opinion, was better than the first, and I think you made the same comment, right? Now, the third one, it's a tricky one. What do you do to up the ante one more? Not only do you get Keanu Reeves, but you get him to voice the badass that is Shadow, and that gruff, that, you know, you don't mess with me.
He did really well. Like, I keep giving you chances, and you keep coming back. I'm like, oh, it is John Wick. It is Baba Yaga. And each movie kind of had their own theme. So the first Sonic was him finding his place as an alien, much like Superman. In the second one, it was finding out that to be part of a team and finding his place in a family, something that didn't have, because that was actually a line that hit me in the second one today. Is like, I need you to be a friend and not my dad. I was like, oh, this is a kid's movie. Damn, that cuts deep. And in this movie, it's realizing how to work as a team, but funnily enough, Shadow has this, I'm not going to get into it, but there's an important message that Shadow has too about anger and rage and
grief.
grief and dealing with that. And it's a kids movie, man.
But like,
and they deal with it in such a nice,
but you know what?
pleasant way.
We understand that. But at the end of the day, you hope that some kids do latch on to the message and carry it forward, which I think is really cool. So whoever threw in that directorial information, great job. Now, like we said, also when we were sat in the theater, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, super predominant in this movie. Almost every human actor takes a back seat, pretty much, except
Jim Carrey
who
as
steals
Robotnik
the show.
and as Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah,
he did so well. He has a much bigger presence. He had a much bigger presence in this one than he did in the first one. Didn't have much of a big presence in the second movie, but the
silliness that is in this movie. You almost would be watching like, what?
Yeah.
But because it's Jim Carrey. Totally socially acceptable, and Jim Carrey, big fan. Liar, Liar, Truman Show. I got them all under my belt. They could not really at the beginning. In the first one, I was like, Jim Carrey for the Eggman, what, Dr. Robotnik? But his evolution of a character also has spanned. Again, the trilogy wraps up so many stories, but then leaves us so many more. And I do want to make a comment to anyone watching this review right now. You've seen the trailers, or I assume you have. I want to let you know, and I will not spoil anything, that the trailers are hiding so much and misleading so much. There's so much in this film that happens that they show in the trailer that is not how it happens. So do not think you've seen this movie just because you've seen the trailers, because we were literally blown away. Which, one more thing before I let Peter speak one more time. We watched this in D-Box. I was super happy we made that decision because on a spaceship, you're on a motorcycle, it's tipsy-turvy. I thought it was cool. I would have liked to see it in IMAX, but I will take the vibrations and the boom. There was a lot of booms.
D-Box definitely helped it, but it's like I would if we didn't get it. This was a movie. Okay, this is another tangent. Yeah. So Deadpool and Wolverine. When we went to see it, I wanted it to be good, and I was like chewing my finger, I was biting my nail, I was sweating because like, God, let this be good.
Yeah.
And it was.
And it was.
This one I had no expectations going. I was like, we're going to see it. I want to see this more than I want to see Mufasa. I still want to see Mufasa.
Right.
Disney. But I came out of this like light on my feet because I was so pleasantly surprised by this.
We did have some jaw drop moments too, and like for a movie that's not like, we'll call it our niche, right? We were stopped a few times. We looked at each other, doing the reaction face, and it was, I don't know, it was cool. We had a couple kids around us, and they were fully immersed, and it just kind of added to it. I would like to say that
the funniest part of this movie was not in the movie, it was due to our seatmate directly behind us. Yep. A moment where Shadow has a moment and he says, I don't even know who I am. And this little voice behind us said, bro, you're a hedgehog. And it was perfect.
Oh man, we were roaring. So little dude, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Like I said, the theater though, and it has 2 end credit scenes. We will say that. Stick around for both. Very important ones. But I will say that our theater lit up at the end of this movie, right on through both end credit scenes. We had fans in this, like you said earlier, we had fans in the theater, and I do believe that did add to the enjoyment of this film. So I hope that if you're watching this and you choose to go see Sonic, you have a theater filled like we did.
And again, like we mentioned before, like the messages that are in this film and the importance of how a trilogy can go very poorly.
Yeah.
Let Sonic 3, again, Sonic 3 is not going to win Oscars. It's not, it has its missteps. It's a kid's movie. It's not going to have the same dramatic undertones that certain movies over the last couple of years have had.
No, I agree.
Because they're geared towards adults and a different audience.
Yeah.
But this movie, if you turn your brain off and just realize, okay, well, let me put myself into the mind of a 10, 11, 12-year-old or even younger, and this movie works.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are missteps. There's a couple of cuts that are like, I don't even know why they included this person in the movie. There are a couple of characters that they kind of show up and they're like, oh, you're kind of a big name, and they could have done without them in any way, shape, or form.
There was some, for someone who did play much more of the games by the sounds of it than yourself, there was a bunch of nuances that pay homage to the games.
Oh my God. Tapping of the foot?
I won't, that and when they're waiting and the sawing thing, I won't get too much into it. But also, leaning on, like I said, we tried to do a review honestly. A couple missteps I noticed. There was almost some quick cuts that, like you kind of said, but it put the characters in a position like, this should have been exposition a little more. Because, again, like the motorcycle thing, I'll leave it at that. I think that was very quickly introduced.
But you know why? Because kids don't care.
No, 100%.
That's exactly why kids don't care.
We are adult
got
reviewers. We got to give it what we see.
We're thinking about like, well, where to get the motorcycle, whereas the kid behind is like, yeah, motorcycle. Like it just worked for him.
True. But one word I did say there, and I just want to touch on before we leave everybody with our final review, and that was exposition. I do believe that Shadow was the perfect exposition foe to Sonic. The two of them are very similar, but very different. It just shows what can happen if two identical people take different routes in life.
It's the same thing as in the second movie with Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
They're very different, but they're very similar.
Yeah. And I mean, it just works.
Two sides of the same coin.
And I think maybe that's why they didn't touch something that wasn't broken. So Peter, at the end of all this, tell the audience, tell the viewers who's watching at home, what is your review out of 10 for this film?
That's a solid 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, solid 9 out of 10, yeah.
Bro, I'm right there with you. I was going to give it 9 out of 10 as well. I think it's sick. If you have not seen it, if you're watching this review, IMAX, regular, D-Box, it don't matter. Get out and see Sonic 3. And if you're a fan...
This is going to be the movie of the holidays. This is going to be the movie of the
100%.
holidays.
This is going to rule the box office. So if you ain't a part of it, you're missing out. And ladies and gentlemen, I am the real Jussy.
We'll tell them about our thing. They got to help us get to 10,000 subs.
Okay.
Do your thing. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on our way to 10K. So if you want to support the channel and you enjoy our reviews, as always, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave us a comment down below. Did you love the action? How close was it to a Dragon Ball Z fan film? And do you want to see the fourth? And with that, I am the real Jussy.
I'm getting a power level over 9,000, and like we always say around here, keep it real.